It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, Score North Twin Show, your first place Score North Twin Show.
That's right.
Live from Kieran's Irish Pub. Phil Mackey, Judd Zolgad, I'm Declan Goff. Thank you for everyone for hanging out with us before first pitch, as the Twins will never lose a game again. They've won back-to-back games. They're 0-4. 48 hours ago, let me paint a picture here. 48 hours ago, the Twins were 0-4, had the worst run differential in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, 2-0, hits dropping in. Who's going to stop the Twins? I want to know.
Listen, Positive Phil is here in full force today. I don't know where Judd is at mentally. Any sort of negativity from the first 4 games is out the window with the 2 straight wins, and this is the home opener day. This is a safe space to be positive about the Minnesota Twins. So you're going to get an hour of Positive Phil here today. I'm just going to warn you both, all right?
I'll try and temper that. I'll try and temper that just a little bit.
Okay.
You know.
So Twins open a 3-game series here against the Houston Astros. They went 2-4 in that road trip. They'll obviously have the baked-in off day tomorrow. Joe Ryan on the mound for the Twins today. I did get some Clubhouse notes here. So let's... you guys want a corner locker update? We'll start with a really juicy corner locker update, and I can set the scene here for the fans, too.
Like, who has the corner lockers? Is that the drama?
There is a new corner locker member for this season after a departure of Carlos Santana.
There's been some years where there's 4 corner lockers, right?
Correct.
There's been some years where it's hard to find, like, 4 worthy Twins to give a corner locker to. So I'm curious who the veterans are.
And just to set the scene, the corner locker is what, essentially 2 lockers?
Yeah.
Like it's basically a condo for a locker room.
It's guys who are established enough and rich enough to have, like, a lot of clothing and like a shoe deal or a cleat deal, and they need to stack boxes and stuff.
Now, don't forget, Jamie Carroll once had a corner locker.
Yeah, that was one of those years where it was kind of hard to find. I've told you guys the story that Danny Valencia, when Michael Kadire signed with the Rockies, Danny Valencia called the head clubhouse guy 5 minutes later and was like, dibs on one of those corner lockers. And they're like, that's not how this works, Danny. You've been here for 5 minutes. Calm down.
Swaggy V. So Carlos Santana obviously departed back to the Cleveland Guardians, so he had one of those corner lockers. And to kind of show the audience what this looks like, when you walk into the Twins clubhouse, there's 2 corner lockers immediately on your left, and then there's 2 corner lockers all the way down towards the showers. And Santana left, so Christian Vazquez, who had a corner locker on the left side, he's now on the right side, and Pablo Lopez is your new corner locker guy on the left side. So Pablo gets the other corner locker. Also, Buck and Correa are still down at the same spots on the far side. But your corner locker update, we got staff ace Pablo in that corner locker now.
I'm down with that. Second consecutive year, I'm going to flat out question the Vazquez one, though. I just don't feel a guy who, like, every year it's like, are you going to trade him now? Like, I know he's a veteran.
Saying, like, being a veteran is one component to having a corner locker.
Right.
But, like, having an OPS above a certain level should also be part of the equation.
Right. And you can't be constantly, like, have your name thrown around every winter in trade speculation and then get a corner locker.
We tried to trade you for 3 months.
Yeah.
Nobody would take your salary to make up for it. And to make you not cantankerous in the clubhouse, here's a corner locker.
Yeah, and, like, I'm a young star, and I'm like, hold on a second here.
Yeah.
I don't get a corner locker?
Well, I mean, 2 World Series. He's got 2 World Series rings.
Right.
Didn't he catch a perfect game or a no-hitter in a World Series? He's got pedigree. I mean, I'm not saying he's he's probably the least scariest bat in the Twins order, but he's got some pedigree.
It would be a little bit like handing a corner locker to Martin Maldonado, who's now with San Francisco. Like, they were catchers on the same Stros team.
Well, okay, if this was a corner locker, like, bracketology decks, as our resident Twins beat podcaster, who would be like the first 4 out or the next 4 in, the next 4 corner lockers?
That's a good one. I would say, trying to think of, because I mean they have so many younger players now. Like, who's kind of graduated there? If Royce Lewis stays on the field, you'd think he'd be a corner locker guy.
Yep. Yep.
Unfortunately,
You know what though? That's one of those where it's like I need an OPS above like at least above like
I'll give you
650, and you got to stay on the field for more than 3 weeks at a time.
I'll give you a veteran on the current team who I would boot Vasky for.
Oh, I know.
That is the new power hitting outfielder Harrison Bader.
Okay.
I'd boot Vasky.
It could be used as a reward. Hey, if you're the hottest
sorta
player
like
on the
this.
team, we should leave one of the corner lockers open as incentive for. Okay, you're like the employee of the month for March, I guess, and early April. So you get a corner locker. Okay.
I can see that. I wonder. I'm trying to think. Like, Bucks obviously is the longest tenured Twin. I mean, Joe Ryan's been here for what, 4 years now. I mean, he was part of the Nelson Cruz trade. He was throwing out the first pitch today.
Yeah.
He's been there a while, and yeah, I mean, outside of Bader, I'm trying to think of other longer tenured MLB players, even like service time.
I'll give you one that, in retrospect, it shows that the team really didn't like him much, but he was here forever. Max Kepler never got a corner locker.
Wait, who?
Max Kepler never
Max
got one.
Kepler, okay.
But I mean, he was here.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry. Yeah.
But I mean, Kep came up when I was like 12 years old, and that guy was here forever and never got a corner locker.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one for sure.
Speaking of Harrison Bader, I asked Rocco, because I mean, this guy's just been the MVP through the first 6 games, for God's sakes. And he talked about, he said, I'd be lying if I didn't want Harrison Bader for his fielding and for the speed he brings, something that the Twins kind of lacked last year. But the bat and the way he kind of shows emotion on his sleeve, it's a palpable thing. I mean, Kepler had a little bit of some swagger, but they didn't really have that like guy that oozes confidence, then also backs it up.
Yeah.
And Harrison Bader, I mean, I don't expect him to have 1,000 OPS for the rest of the season, but if his bat is even back to like league average 105 OPS plus while still playing elite defense, I mean, he's probably gonna be one of the most important players on the team.
Is it fair to say? So we definitely, at least Declan and myself, we're big analytics nerds. We will lean into numbers. We probably reference. I mean, you just referenced OPS plus. Like, we will reference analytical and statistical trends on the show more than probably like the average show. But there's also like a vibe check that's important with baseball teams. That like you got to be a certain level of good, and you need like a certain level of if your team ERA is above 5 or whatever, you're like, it doesn't matter if the vibes are great in the clubhouse. But there's a vibe check. I mean, the 2004 Red Sox are the ultimate really good team with immaculate vibes, the cowboy up stuff.
Yep.
And Harrison Bader, I think, is, if there's like there's the corner locker pecking order, if there was like a power ranking for best vibes guys in the clubhouse, I feel like Harrison Bader is he's near the top of that list. He's on the Mount Rushmore of the current.
He might be.
The current vibes clubhouse.
He strikes me as, and he's a good player, but he strikes me as also a grinder as well. Like, he's good defensively. He can play left. He can play right, center field. And so, yeah, I think, and I've said this for a long time, I think the construction of a baseball team from also a personnel standpoint, incredibly important. And if you end up, throwing, God bless him, he tried hard, Austin Martin in left field, or the Margot missed last year, right? And if Margot started, he wasn't a terrible player, but he couldn't pinch hit, and he was god-awful in the outfield. So I feel like Bader's a really good personality fit, but probably just as importantly, he brings this array of talents that can be plugged in, and you don't feel like if and when Buck goes down, it's not like, oh, Willie Castro's going to play some center field.
Yeah. He's a different type of utility player, that he's not an infielder. Like, he can play all the outfield spots. But it feels like most, if not all, of the great Twins teams in history have had a Swiss Army knife vibes guy that can play great defense.
Yep.
Maybe isn't your best offensive player. I mean, Nick Punto for 5 years was one of your best defensive players at 4 different positions, right?
Well, it is no mistake that the Twins missed the playoffs a year after going to the playoffs with Michael A. Taylor playing center field consistently.
That poor dude now is just... what was with the Pirates last year? And
he's going through the typical end of career swoon, but he was an important player here, and the fact was you could plug him in. He was not great. He had some pop, but just as importantly, and this goes back to our conversation for years now, you guys. What else? He could go get the baseball. Your pitching gets how much better because guys can go get the baseball.
Yeah, speaking of that too, because Buck he's in the lineup on opening day. He has started every game in center field. He was pulled in the 9-0 shellacking by Chicago, the lowest point of the Twins season, obviously. But he has still remained the starting center fielder. And it was asked from Rocco today, do you plan to rest him? How do you gotta go here? And he says, as long as he is active and healthy, they're not kid-gloving Byron Buxton.
Good.
Great.
And
yeah.
you shouldn't, right? I mean, it's definitely a luxury to have, to Judd's point, a legitimate backup option in Harrison Bader, so when Buck does get the DH or the off day, it makes things easier, but there's no kid gloves with Buxton, and he shouldn't be. He's a star player, 10-year vet. He should be playing every day.
Well, part of the reason, like, go back like 5 or 6 years ago, and then, you know, because I think this is year 10 for him now.
Yeah.
You get like 4 or 5 years in, and oh man, every year he's had some sort of injury issue, and it's these weird kind of, he bumps into a fence and he's out for 2 months, or it's like a knee, or the chronic knee issue that popped up. So for a few years, it made sense a little bit more to kid glove him to preserve his career as long as possible. That, okay, if you can get 90 to 120 games so that you can extend his career into his 30s, all right, that's part of the strategy, so you don't burn him out by 28 or 29 or push him too far. Well, he's in his 30s now.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, here we are, 10 years in, he's in his 30s. You're no longer looking to like preserve 7 more years out of him. I think if he can give you 3-ish years of some high-level play, that would be best case scenario. And if he could play 100+ games, he's still like one of your 3 or 4 most valuable players over the course of 6 months.
I think what we unfortunately found out after the fact too when it comes to Byron Buxton is trying to preserve him didn't work. Like he probably got hurt just as much, if not more.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think in the case of both Buxton and Correa, I'm not saying be dumb about it. They're going to need days off. But I am saying this preservation, we're going to do this, we're going to get, and that's what I actually liked going into spring trading, which is for the first time in Baldelli's time here. He was talking about getting guys on their feet, not off their feet. If they go down, they go down. But until that happens, play them. And look, the Correa thing might be tough. I don't know. But quite frankly, every game he doesn't play it short, your defense is downgraded how much? Like, it's a substantial come down.
Yeah. By the way, people in the comment section here, yeah, we're monitoring the Score North YouTube channel comments from Kieran's here in Minneapolis. Tyler Anderson said Harrison Bader is Kyle Anderson 2.0 from the Wolves. Not the best offensive player, but can be effective at times,
Totally.
kind of a leadership guy.
I can see
I
that.
like it.
And then Jumel says Bader's nickname in St. Louis was Tater. We should continue this tradition.
Tater Bader? Okay, so we have...
There's been some other nicknames for him.
I was
I've
going to
seen
say,
on
that's
the
a really
internet too,
bad
but-
last name for a kid to have.
Yeah, so there's a tater tot hot dish promotion at Target Field in the future then for Harrison Bader. Write that down.
He'll be a popular jersey by the end of the year too,
Yeah.
if he continues to at least be somewhat productive. By the way, curious if you guys walking in here, the best jersey I've seen already walking around the streets, I did see a Tsuyoshi Nishioka jersey walking around downtown Minneapolis.
I think there's more of those still around than we would think.
I mean, at this point, it's a great, nostalgic, hilarious
Right.
piece to your collection, right?
Fits the Mackey and Judd jersey rule.
It
Ironic
does.
Jersey. Ironic. I don't think that's Al Newman over there because he wasn't number 2,
It's
right?
spelled, that's like a custom, I think his last
that's a
name is
different
Newman.
Newman?
That's
Yeah.
a U.
Newman.
By the way, do you see the royalty that's standing in front of us right here as we're at Kieran's? I don't want to draw attention to him, but
Yeah.
the man himself is here, so
Who am I looking at?
I'll explain. I don't want to draw attention to him, but
Okay.
we're at Kieran's, and the man himself is here.
Oh,
right
very
now.
nice. Very
Yes.
nice. Well, from one Declan
Yeah.
to a Kieran, I always
Okay,
appreciate
all right.
Legend himself.
any Irishness there. Speaking of maybe like hot button issues, so Matt Wallner was asked about the Torpedo bat. So Wallner gets, he's been seeing more pitches. He's been the leadoff man. I think actually it's gone all right. I don't think it's been like a dashing success, but
He's
he's
working
been solid.
counts. Like he's drawing walks and stuff.
What else do you really want more? And it was asked Torpedo bat, as this crossed your mind at all? Do you want to be a torpedo bat dude? And he said, I haven't changed my bat once since I entered pro ball. And he also said, and Judd, you and I talked about this in an extra innings.
Yep.
The way his swing plane is, it wouldn't be that beneficial to him because that knob of the or the sweet spot, probably is a better word, the sweet spot of that torpedo bat is not how maybe his swing would like to operate.
Yep.
So it's not really something that he is interested in yet. Wasn't able to talk to Jeffers, who is currently using the torpedo bat. But very interesting to hear, I think, Wallner say, I mean, I could think about it, but if you look at the design of that bat, it doesn't play with my swing.
So, Phil, I told Dex a couple of days ago about that bat. You know, what makes baseball great is the adjustment to the adjustment to the adjustment.
And double switches.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? You guys can laugh
now.
as much as you want. When the pitcher had to hit and they had to make a double switch, it was great. But anyway, I digress. So the adjustment, I think, next is if you use a torpedo bat, I think the best example is Volpe, because the bat sounds like it was developed for him because he was so bad on inside pitches, and the barrel comes down. The next adjustment for pitchers now is to just go away. So if you've got the torpedo bat, I can pitch you away. You might cue ball a ball off the end of the bat, but the barrel's gone.
So because it takes a little less, like off the last few inches of the bat, right? That's the
correct. So I'm going to pitch you away.
But if you don't get out there enough, and my torpedo bat with an opposite field swing plane, I'm going to hit more home runs to opposite field or balls off the wall to opposite
unless
field.
I pop you up. Because if I get far enough away, I'll pop you up. If I jam you now that's where the barrel comes through the zone.
You know what? I think I agree. Like there's adjustments and whatever, but I think Plouffe kind of nailed it a couple days ago when he said, "This is a dumb story," because at the end of the day, it's not like you're adding more weight to the bat, or you're not. It's not like corking the bat where you're making it lighter. It's the same dimensions in terms of length and weight. It's just redistributed.
Yeah.
But what happens in baseball is the curtain gets pulled back a little for those of us on the outside. It's like, remember like 8 years ago, we found out, oh my gosh, pitchers use sunscreen and rosin to create tack on the ball.
Right.
This is an outrage. They're using a foreign substance, and every player in baseball is like, first of all, the hitters want pitchers to be using that substance so that the ball doesn't fly out of their hands slippery, right?
Yes.
But whenever the curtain gets pulled back, we're all like, wait a second. Oh my God. What's this?
Well,
what's happening?
To dump on us a bit, that's true about every sport. Like if we find out a football fact, and players and coaches are all like, yeah, we've been doing that since like 1972.
Dude,
we're all like, oh, no. Let's talk about it.
I saw a YouTube clip or like a clip from a podcast. I can't remember which player it was. It was a recent, maybe a current NFL player, talking about before football games, he takes like, I don't know, a bajillion milligrams of Adderall and like 2 or 3 other things, and then like gets himself basically in a state of high, maybe illegally, and then cranks EDM music in his headphones before the game and just like gets it. But it's like, whoa, he's taking that much Adderall before a football game? It's like, yeah, like half those guys are. So
you're actually talking about Judd's pregame vent line routine. Like that's exact at US Bank Stadium, just ready to rock, just so locked in.
His EDM music in his headphones.
Oh yeah.
So, hey, speaking of Wallner, so he's obviously been getting more run lefty on lefty, and I asked him, as that finally feel like rewarded to you? Like what is it like now you finally get some run against left-handed pitchers, which is something this team was. I know platoons exist in Major League Baseball. It's not like the Twins were the only platooning team, but they leaned in heavily to it last year. And it's okay if you use it, but you need success. And the Manuel Margot platooning plan obviously didn't work too well. So Wallner said he feels good that he, number one, has earned those at-bats, and he knows the situation of, hey, if Royce and Brooks Leee were here, like, would I be pinch hit a little bit more? Maybe it's kind of the situation that he's been dealt. But he likes it because even though it's a challenge for him, he said it actually opens up his swing when he sees a right-handed pitcher. So it gives him a different look from the lefty side, which is challenging to do lefty on lefty. But he said it also kind of changes his swing plane approach, football, on the lefty or righty side, because now he gets a completely different look.
Yeah. Baseball's and the Twins are at a weird crossroads where the statistics show you, in a perfect world, very few hitters should be allowed to face, especially lefties, like-handed pitchers. But there's not enough players on your active roster to be able to play the platoon game up and down for 3 hours.
Right.
So you're trying to balance, like with the Wallners and the Larnacks. Okay, to this point, they haven't been great against left-handed pitching. We'd like them to be great at some point, but we also need someone that can get a hit to break up a tie game in the 8th inning or whatever it is. But Justin Morneau, it took him 4 years to hit a left-handed pitcher at a high level.
But you just hit on the most important thing, and this is where I feel like the old school and new school have not mixed properly. So back in the day, if a righty started, okay, and let's say he leaves in the third because he gets shelled or hurt, you could confidently bring in, if they go to a southpaw, pinch hit a right-hander and be pretty confident that that pitcher was going to stay in the game for a prolonged period of time. What bugged me about the Twins last year was they literally were playing the short game of, oh, this guy came out in the third, let's pinch hit for Wallner now.
Yeah.
And it's like, but Rocco, in 2 innings, that guy's going to be out, and now you're going to be back to a guy, and now you want Matt back in.
Potentially higher leverage
Correct.
situation, right?
Like I'm with you completely. If it's the 8th and you're convinced the guy can pinch hit and be a better option, go for it. Do it.
You almost need, if you're the White Sox, the Twins are in a position where there's pressure on them to win. They're still spending $140 million on the team. Fans are impatient. Attendance has been down, right? So they need to put out optimal strategy. If I were a team like the White Sox or a team with lower expectations or going through a down period, I would take a year or two, if I've got premier young hitters, left-handed hitters especially, and I would let them take every at-bat against a left-handed pitcher the entire season so that you can expedite how many.
Why not?
It's going to take you 600 plate appearances against lefties to get good.
Yep.
We're going to be bad for 2 years, but when we're ready to pop, and it might coincide, you will have seen enough left-handed pitching to be able to be ready to rock when you're 26 years old.
Quick question about the future, and I'm about to suggest 2 things that are prevalent in amateur baseball, and I hate the idea, but are they potential? For a long time, you've had the re-entry rule in like town team ball, Legion ball.
Yeah.
Could we ever get to a place where I can, if you bring in a southpaw, I can pinch hit for Wallner in the third, but then I can bring him back in the 6th?
I mean, every other main sport has the ability to go take a breather on the bench for a minute and come back in. I get baseball purists are going to say, well, it's been this way for 150
I don't like the idea.
years.
I'm just asking the question.
It would definitely, I think 2 things. One, you'd have to kind of figure out the dance of when, if I pinch hit for someone and then the pitcher, then they switch pitchers or something, right? I have to wait an inning or 2 innings to bring my hitter back in. Like I can't just say, oh no, actually we want the right-handed batter back in. You'd have to figure that out. But I mean, I'm all for like the golden at-bat rule. So you're talking about something that's like,
and I'm alone in not being. You and Declan love that idea.
I want more excitement. I think baseball should be looking at ways to just create more appointment viewing and show the fact, like one of the things that kind of hurts baseball is Shohei Ohtani is the best player maybe of all time when you account for the fact that he's a pitcher and a hitter, right?
Yep.
And he comes to the plate about as often as like the 8th best hitter in the Dodgers lineup, who's still awesome, by the way, because it's the Dodgers.
Yeah, who's still paid $5 billion.
But Shohei Ohtani, I'll use a cross-team comparison. Shohei Ohtani is going to get only a few more plate appearances this year as like Ryan Jeffers, for instance, and plus Christian Vasquez as a platoon. In basketball, LeBron James is going to touch the ball a lot more than Kyle Anderson.
Right.
No, you're right.
So the more you can, whether it's what you're talking about or the golden at bat, the more you can, to me, showcase your best players without it completely upending the sport. I'm all for it.
I don't know. I don't think putting, like, if you took a player out and typically you're never, Shohei Ohtani, for example, Mookie Betts, whoever you want to name, those guys aren't getting subbed out unless there's like an injury. So if it's a Matt Wallner being subbed out and you want to bring that guy back in the game, I think that should be allowed.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're taking the star player out. You're putting a above average guy out of the game, but you should be able, I think, to reinsert him.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm saying is the way baseball is currently structured, the best players are featured the exact same as like the 8th best player in the lineup, because they all come to the plate roughly an equal amount of time. So I don't know. If there's a way to fix that, awesome.
Yeah.
If not,
And actually, you know what? Just got a thought. if you did this, if you allowed the golden at bat, there would actually be a premium, I think, too, to probably go out, to probably sacrifice some of your payroll on slappies who are okay for one star player if you knew that you could maximize that star player's at bats.
Yeah.
So like if you went out and just got one just tough, great player, but you could then bat him in the 9th inning, let's say twice, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It would create an interesting dynamic that I think might make you think about your actual roster structure.
Real quick, percent chance that that's the actual Royce Lewis in our Score North Twin Show chat right now, as the Twins are probably going through early warm-ups right now, although Royce would maybe not be.
I only saw him very briefly today in the clubhouse. He went to his locker quick and then ran right back, so wasn't able to...
Was he on the Score North Twin Show YouTube channel when you saw him in the clubhouse today?
No, he was not, but maybe he's watching now. Maybe he's watching now. I'll confirm with him. I'll have to confirm with him.
Royce, prove somehow. Give us some information that only Royce Lewis
only you
would
and
know
I
about
know.
Declan.
Yeah, exactly. Just prove that somehow.
And do you deserve a corner locker?
Give us your thoughts on the corner locker.
And if so, who doesn't deserve it? They currently
do you want Vasquez out of that corner locker as much as I do?
Start a mutiny on Game 6. And I think last thing, too, on it, especially for like Wallner or Larnach getting lefty on lefty, is it definitely does instill a confidence in guys that need that, right? Like last year, the younger players like took maybe necessary, but some unnecessary blame for the collapse. But they're getting subbed out in the 6th inning for Manuel Margot, who can't hit.
Right.
So I think also having that idea of, hey, no, yes, this is going to be a disadvantage for you. I understand the numbers say one thing, but we want you to remain in the game, and that also goes a long way in baseball.
I saw, who's Manuel Margot playing for now? I saw a highlight of him.
Detroit. I think he got signed by the Tigers.
I saw he's either wearing a hooded sweatshirt under his jersey, or he's had a great offseason of enjoying the restaurants in the Detroit area. I don't know.
Well, his play in the outfield, I've never been sold that big a bill of goods.
Yeah.
Like they said, okay, he got hurt, but before he hurt his leg in Tampa Bay, he was really good out there, and he's still serviceable. I mean, that's an all-time butcher out there.
Yeah, that was one that didn't quite work as well. Yeah.
One more clubhouse note here. So I mentioned I saw Royce. I was moving around decently. I don't know his status in terms of returning. But Brooks Leee is still in Florida. So he's doing extended spring training to a degree. He's doing simulated games down there. Sounds like there will be a rehab assignment, maybe even sooner rather than later, which is good news. So he's doing simulated games. So hopefully Brooks Leee is on his way back to the team pretty soon here. That herniated disc that he had last year, this back issue is not related to that. Although I like to think...
Is that good or bad?
I think it's bad. Because
don't worry, the chronic back issue that you've had, that's like, it's not that. It's a second back issue now. I don't know that makes me feel better or worse.
They're also not going to tell you, like, well, we think it might be the same type of thing, but we're not quite sure. And here's the problem. We're really scared. Like, I don't blame them for trying to at least spin this. My question is, when he's done with his rehab and assignment, does he come here or just go to St. Paul and play for a while?
I think he'll go to St. Paul. Or, I mean, if he just stays in warmer weather and they don't want to, like, ship him all around. But eventually he has to play. So, like, the cold weather thing, it becomes irrelevant when you're playing in this type of temperatures for the first 3 weeks in Minneapolis. I feel like with an uneducated, educated car guy that I'm trying to be, it'd be like your brake pads are fine, but your rotors are not doing so hot. Like, well, they're all kind of connected. So at the end of the day, if you are having brake pad issues, need rotor issues, they're all in the same thing. I don't want to do that. I probably just absolutely added myself with not knowing anything about cars, that analogy.
You know what? That just gave me an idea for the next Purple Daily Feedback Friday Snake Draft. Your favorite car parts.
Oh my God.
Could the three of us even get through 3 rounds of a snake draft? Could we name 9 car parts?
I mean, I've had a lot fixed of late, so I probably could, but I don't like it.
Carburetor.
Yeah. Well, what's the thing is, my favorite is when you go to get your oil changed, right? Which, by the way, is not cheap now. And you just want...
When you lease, it's free, by the way.
Oh, okay, well, but they always find something else. Well, we could replace this. Like, we could replace your whole engine today, sir, for only $1,500. No, I just want my oil changed. Give me my car
Yeah,
back.
but if you put it off, it could wind up leading to some bigger problems.
Give me back my car.
Yeah.
We'll get to a random twin of the week later on here on the Score North Twin Show, but hit that like button and subscribe button here. Appreciate everyone that has supported the Twin Show this season. We'll be here rocking at Kieran's for a little bit longer, and then we'll have post-game content from the home opener, plus content throughout the week. Trevor Plouffe Tuesdays. We have former Twins infielder Trevor Plouffe. He joins us every Tuesday, so if you missed that episode, go check it out. Did you say you had some like Twins trivia potentially for us?
Yeah, so we'll do the random twin of the week here, but so this is now the 15th, not to the day. I think April 10th was the opening day of Target Field 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
But it is essentially the 15-year anniversary of the opening of Target Field, and I have in front of me. I have the opening day lineup from the first game ever played at Target Field. They played 2 exhibition games against the Cardinals.
Yeah, they did.
This was the first game at Target Field against the Red Sox.
Yep.
Sox.
Yeah, Jock Jones played and got a standing ovation. I believe it was the second exhibition game.
Because he was trying to
He
make
tried
the
to
club,
come
right?
back and got like a standing ovation. It was really nice.
So I want to see, you guys can think about this for a second. I want to see how many of the opening day lineup you can name and the 4 pitchers that pitched in that game for the Minnesota Twins.
Okay.
Presented by NABC, North American Banking Company, a Minnesota-based banking company with 6 locations across the Twin Cities: Maple Grove, Roseville, Shoreview, Hastings, Woodbury, and 50th in France. And if you're looking for a better, just basic banking experience, checking and savings, or if you're looking to finance something bigger, maybe launching a new business, or if you're looking to buy a new home, North American Banking Company can help you with any of your banking needs. They'll help with the mortgage process as well if you are in the market for a new home. They have experts to make getting a house simple and stress-free. So check them out. They pride themselves on personal relationships and cutting-edge online tools. And like I said, they've been serving the Twin Cities specifically since 1998. North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankco.com/Mackey to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And also Dennis Kirk is along for the ride, pun intended, for another Twin season here on the Score North Twin Show. Thank you to Dennis Kirk for the partnership. It's almost riding season. There might be some people out there on bikes today in the low 40s with no snow. But it's riding season, and Dennis Kirk is your go-to with over 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories for motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, if you want to get ahead for next winter, for instance. They offer same-day shipping on all orders placed before 6 p.m. Central Time, and free shipping on orders over $89. DennisKirk.com to find out more information. So it was April...
Judd, I feel good about
April
this.
12th, 2010. It was a 5-2 victory for the Minnesota Twins. They had a lineup of 1 through 9 with no pinch hitters and no subs.
Okay, that helps.
And they had 4 pitchers enter the game.
Good here.
Can you name these 13 players?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, Judd might have just nailed it, actually.
I think I got the fielders for sure. Maurer behind the plate.
Yep.
Morneau at first.
Yep.
Ohud at second.
Ohud?
Yep.
Yep.
Ohud. Hardy at short.
Yeah, wow, this is a clinic right here.
I want to say the outfield, I'm going to stop and ask Dex about third base. I want to say the outfield was some combination of Kubel, Span, Kadire.
Kubel, Span, Kadire were in the lineup. Kubel was the DH.
Okay, because he hit the first home run. Because I talked to the kid
I remember
that
that.
caught it, who's now like 30. Was Punto at third base? Or was he gone in 2010?
No, Punto was on the 2010 team. Valencia got called up in June.
So we need a third baseman, a left fielder,
Okay.
And a starting pitcher.
and then the 4 pitchers.
Okay, so Punto at third.
Punto at third.
Okay, left field. And it wasn't, it's going to be screaming at me. I just
Oh, I know. We're going to get this. Like we're going to know.
Okay, so I'm trying to think in 09, like, who were the whole... Oh, Carlos Gomez. Nope, he got traded for J.J. Hardy. So it wasn't there. Left fielder.
We're gonna kill ourselves.
Wait a
for not-
minute, was
You can come back to it. Yeah.
hold on though. So Kubel was a DH, but Tomey wasn't in the lineup.
Jim Tomey was not in the opening day lineup,
Huh?
despite being maybe their best hitter.
Right. That's interesting.
Guardy.
Yeah,
Left
they like
fielder.
he was very much supposed to be like a bat off the bench,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then some injuries happened, and the legend.
Was
Okay.
this
legend
guy? Was this a slappy? Let me use a Judd term. Was it a slappy?
grew. Yeah, he was a first round draft pick.
First round pick.
Wait. Was Delman still here?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Delman Young.
Delman.
Young. Good job, Joe.
First
Good job.
overall pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delman Young. That makes
Okay,
sense.
so we got that.
Yep. Got the fielders. Okay, so starter. Was
I'm
that
gonna
a
let you
Scott
take it.
Baker day?
Is that a final answer?
That is a final answer.
No, it was not Scott Baker.
Pavano start?
Maybe a Pavano or a Lariano start. Well, here. How about this? Can you answer this? I'm going to pull a Judd on you. Was this the first game of the season?
This was the 8th game of the season. Because
Eighth
they had a
game.
7-game. It was Anaheim and then I think Chicago.
Okay. So 8 games. This would have been the third
There might have been an off
starter
day
in
in there. It's hard to.
Yeah. I'm going to assume, though, if it was game 8, so it was the third starter taking his second turn in the rotation. Was this Kevin Slowey?
No, it's a great guesses though.
Pavano, Lariano.
It might have been
Slowey,
somebody that
Baker.
they. It might have.
Wasn't Lariano?
It might not have been a regular. Like it might. Pavano was there by then, right?
Yeah. Pavano started opening day, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, but it was. But would they have held
Held him back.
like because it's the first game of the
can't
season
stand when people
of
do
the new
that.
stadium?
Are you guys guessing Pavano?
Let's go with Pavano.
It's up to you.
Carl Pavano was the
Okay.
first.
Oh, look
Alright.
at that!
starter in
Look at that! I'm on
history.
fire.
And then and now they won the game 5-2. So that was kind of the game flow.
Yep.
Who are the 3 relievers they leaned on?
John Roush.
He closed it out
Yep.
for, by the way, his 5th save of the season already at
Wow.
that point.
All right, so let's just list some names. I think one of them was probably Alex Burnett. Alex Burnett feels like a good guess there.
Yeah. I'll let you guess at
Okay,
this.
Alex Burnett.
He was in that bullpen. He did not appear in
Okay,
this game. Though.
okay.
Yeah.
Was Matty Guerrero around in 2010? Because it's been a Matty Guerrero.
How about Jesse Crane?
Crane was also on the team. He did not appear in this game.
Guerrero?
Guerrero.
Matty Guerrero was the setup.
I
guy.
am in fuego
You're on
right
fire
now.
right
And then
This
they
is
brought
unbelievable.
in a lefty to get. They tried to get some outs.
All right,
but
this is you.
A lefty. So they brought
he
in a
did
lefty.
get through an inning, but there was some damage.
There was some
for
trouble?
Sure, yeah.
There was some trouble. A lefty out of the pen that caused trouble out of the Twins bullpen.
He actually made a start, I believe. He started a playoff game for the Twins that year.
Brian Dunsing.
Brian Dunsing, yeah.
Brian
Oh,
Dunsing.
wow, okay.
That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
I was a junior in high school.
My,
That makes you guys feel old.
My assignment for the Star Tribune that day was to do a story from up on the Budweiser deck.
Oh, yeah.
So I went up there, hung out there. It was very, very cool, except I realized you can't see like huge swaths of left field because of how it's cut. But then I also did a story on the kid that caught the Kubel home run ball.
Yeah.
And they brought the kid downstairs. They
What'd they
gave
give
him
him?
all this stuff.
They gave him like bats and different
Yeah,
things?
because that ball had, for the Twins curator, had a ton of value to it. So, like, the kid got a great deal.
Yeah, it's kind of that ballpark remains pristine to me 15 years later. But the little quirks that first year, the bushes as the background, right? They had like the trees
The
and
tree,
stuff.
yeah.
And
Pine
hitters, that
trees.
drove hitters crazy. There was at one point a squirrel living in those
Yep.
trees, and that squirrel would like run around the infield 2 or 3 times, and they'd have to stop
They
the game
named
and
it.
stuff.
There was a name
Go-Go.
for it.
Go-Go
Was that what it was?
Go the squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I remember there was like a rain-soaked Baltimore game. Like, they just played through it for whatever damn reason. And then there was also, wasn't there like a owl or a hawk on top of the foul pole, like in the middle of just
Yes.
a rain-soaked Baltimore Twins game in May?
A python, a
Yeah.
gator.
There was a tiger running around.
tiger.
It was crazy.
They just
Running
brought in
around.
all
It
this
was Miguel
habitat.
Cabrera. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I do have a random twin for you guys if you guys want to.
Yeah. So
wanna get
how?
after it.
So it's on your computer, right? So can you move back that
Move
way?
back.
So
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do actually is just use my phone. I trust my clues here.
I'm going to bring up the list of, just so you guys can see, no cheating here. Just
All right.
the list of. So to this point, I have 28 career wins in Random Twin of the Week. Judd has 25. Declan has 24. I'm on a 2-game win streak with Jeff Rebele and Sam Diduno.
Yep.
Before that, it was Judd's 6-game winning streak of Kyle Gibson, Greg Swindell, Carl Pavano, Brian Dozier, Terry Mulholland, and Shane Mack.
And make no mistake, the last two have that. And congrats to you, you won. But they have been very contentious between Dex and I. The Rebel A one I got you on. You came back with the Juno and rooted Phil on.
Yep.
So, like, to say there's some bad blood here is an understatement.
Very dramatic,
Thank you
yeah.
very much, Taylor Swift.
I would like, so you've got I forgot my notebook. Do you guys mind if I take notes on my phone?
That's totally fine.
Okay, you
Yep.
can see I'm not Googling anything here.
Do we trust him?
I'll say this. All right, here's clue number 1. This is not a vindictive.
Well, I hope we're past it now.
right.
I hope we're past
We
it now.
reset it. We reset. This is not a vindictive
Okay,
play.
because you got me.
I think either of you should be able to get this random twin. I'm not
From
swaying one way or the other.
1963 here.
Zoila Versailles.
First clue. This was a first-round pick. This was a first-round pick, and I'll actually tell you this: not by the Twins.
Okay.
First-round pick, not by the Twins. The best OPS, we mentioned OPS earlier in the broadcast. The best OPS that this player had with the Twins was 830. An 830 OPS. I will say, in only 69 games.
Okay. That's, okay.
In fact, he never played in more than 69 games was his regular season high with the Twins. He didn't really play a ton with the Twins. He was more of a platoon position type of guy. Wasn't an everyday player.
All right.
But he was on the Twins for 3 seasons.
Okay.
For 3?
3 seasons. 3 seasons.
Interesting. Okay. And I could just keep this clue to myself, but Declan tweeted the word juicy in all caps when referring to this random twin.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
If that's like a steroid reference or something that he's disguising, I don't
Yeah,
know.
steroids or a fat guy, perhaps.
No, it could be.
Because like the Juicy Lucy.
Well, that guy's not. There's no way that guy was a first-round pick. All right.
I'm a little. This could be too much of a tell, but speaking of like juicy, if I saw this guy in his Twins tenure, I'd be concerned he could kill me. He could absolutely beat the crap out of me.
Okay, so now I'm trying to index Declan's level of self-confidence in a fight.
Well, how about this?
Versus his small stature.
I would say I would take him to maybe beat anyone's, you know what? He could beat anyone's butt.
Okay, so he'd win a Royal Rumble in a clubhouse. or something.
Yeah. What was Judd thinking? You have a clue?
Trying to think if we've done this guy.
I do have a guess,
I do
but
too.
I don't think he's juicy.
Here, if I can pull this up for both of you, I'll do this for you. So I have the list. Might be hard to see in the text.
Yeah, I can't see Phil's side.
That's the list of random twins.
Oh, so you're gonna get? All right. Is it Brian Buchanan?
Ding, ding, ding.
Let's go! Let's go!
Oh, that's not, dude. That's nice.
Let's go!
Dude, he had forearms that could kill somebody. I'm
Okay.
telling you.
Was that
was
not
not
your
gonna
guess?
No, that was not my guess.
At first, I thought maybe we did him already because he's like a great option for a random twin of the week. Brian Buchanan, part of the
Congratulations.
Chuck Knobloch trade.
Chuck, so I was going to say, he was part of 2 pretty prominent trades. So he was part of the Chuck Knobloch trade that brought him here. They traded him to the Padres for Jason Bartlett.
Okay.
That's how they got Jason Bartlett. Was
I'm
Brian
telling you, man,
Buchanan.
He
That
was
was a-
not a good player, so.
No, but he had arms that could kill you.
Yeah.
So that was a Terry Ryan. Those were both Terry Ryan. Terry Ryan had like a 9-year run of fleecing trades.
The Brzezinski trade's one of the great trades of all time, and the Knobloch trade for being forced was a really good trade. Bill Smith, when they were going to trade Santana, Bill Smith had no chance of living up to the Terry Ryan trades for a guy like Santana.
How about that, by the way? I love Bill Smith and consider him a friend and covered him. That was about as difficult of a position to be thrown into as a first-time GM. Here's one of the great players in franchise history. You have to trade him as your first order of business.
So the Knobloch trade was Eric Milton, Brian Buchanan, a slappy pitcher who was around forever, not necessarily here, Domingo something, and I think there might have been one more component. It was a really Guzman, who turned into an all-star for a year or two.
Yeah.
That was a really, really good return.
Was the Bobby Kilty for Shannon Stewart trade? Where does that one rank in the Terry Ryan?
That's another one.
That one has to be right up there.
That was 03, right? That was.
Yeah.
I mean, Shannon Stewart got MVP votes
He finished
for the
fourth
second
in
half of the
MVP
season.
that year.
Well, and they were dead until the trade was made, and then Shannon Stewart got here in July and was great. But if you recall, so back then, Toronto was one of the first teams heavily into analytics, and Bobby Kilty was an analytics darling.
He was.
And Toronto's like, oh, we got to get him. Okay, here's Shannon Stewart.
You know what? There's a few. This is another for an off-season episode. Players that either were with the Twins and got traded, or were with the Twins for a period of time that were either underappreciated because they were analytics guys in non-analytics eras, or other teams thought they were. Shane Mack is one of those guys for sure.
Oh, he's great. Hell of a player.
I mean, he was regarded as a good player, but when you go back and look, that dude was on-base machine, corner outfield defense. He was like a 5.5 WAR player at one point.
Yeah.
But another guy, and Tom Kelly hated him, and he drove everyone nuts. Rich Becker. Rich Becker was like a big on-base percentage guy in the mid-90s.
Really?
Yeah. Now that he had a bunch of other deficiencies as a player that drove you nuts, and he would strike out all the time and stuff too. But
interesting.
Yeah.
I'd say actually, Shane Mack is probably in my top, the Kirbys and the Tony Olivas and guys that Twins Hall of Famers. Shane Mack would be on a list for me of guys I wish I got to see play. Because I never got to see Shane Mack. I was like 4 years old by the time he left.
Shane Mack was a little bit now. He was so caught up in Puckett's time, though, that I think he was appreciated, but Puckett just dominated everything.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, so when they moved Puck to right field eventually, didn't Shane Mack initially move to center? Mm-hmm. But then he was gone really quick. It was weird. I think it was during the strike that he went to Japan and left.
Yeah.
But yeah, and a Rule 5 pick from the Padres on the same day, I think, that Dave Hollins was a Rule 5 pick by the Phillies from the Padres.
Dave
the Padres
Hollins,
lost both those guys on the same day, I
a
think.
legendary Twin, Dave Hollins.
He's a hell of a player.
Some dark years in the late 90s.
All right, so before we wrap, was it the forearm clue that tipped you off? Was it that he could kill someone?
He definitely looked like a guy that would win a fight in a clubhouse. I remember him being a first-round pick. And what was the other clue that there's 3 clues that kind of gave it to me. And then a guy that had a big OPS in a short amount of time. And I remember him having a really nice start to his career or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the first year. Yeah.
And you weren't even close?
No, I was not even close. No, that was a great job.
Okay.
Brian Buchanan. Let's go.
You did not screw me that time.
I did not. We're even. We're even now. Now you can screw me if you want to on the next rant.
No.
We're among friends.
It'll be Judd's turn with the clues next week to screw.
I will say this, and this applies to both of you. There are some legendary old school Twins that we have not done yet.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean household legendary Twins.
We should definitely
we
should
could
pay
wait
more homage.
We could wade into the 60s, and you should still have a clue.
For sure. I agree. I'm going to. I mean, if I lose again, and have to do the clues, I will vow to go old school on some.
Okay.
And it won't be like Butch Weiniger was one, wasn't he? At one point, that was kind of.
Earl Batty, no, but there's some guys like above Batty.
We want to give Dex a chance, born in the 90s.
Yeah, but I feel like Dex knows like the historical figures of Twins baseball.
You know who Harmon Killebrew is, right?
Who's that?
But you could probably get 10 clues deep on a Harmon Killebrew without giving away that it's
Is this
the guy from the
Killebrew?
60s.
Well, hey, everyone, appreciate everyone hanging out with us here from Kieran's Irish Pub in downtown Minneapolis. For our audience listening or watching, I should say, on the Score North YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone who has supported and watched the show. Stick around for some extra innings episodes after the game and more Twin Show content from there. We're the Score North Twin Show. We're the home of your first place Minnesota Twins.